Hey guys, so we are just chatting per usual.
Yes.
And one of the things that I wanted to bring up is your lack of self-worth affecting how you give and receive love? So one of the things that I usually tell people is no one likes you, so why do you think anyone will ever love you? That is a cynical statement. However, it's a lot to unpack with that. One of the things that people have to unpack is the self-worth itself and where your self-awareness is and how you can always continue to improve rather than finding yourself in a perpetual state of downness, of self-worth, a self
Lack of
lack of self-worth, right? And then even just kind of like compromising for things that you're not supposed to. So how do you feel about that?
How do I feel about that? Okay, so I do think that there is, and we talked about like a confidence epidemic. I think that people are seriously lacking in self-worth, like more and more, even like generationally. And then, men and women are different, but it is kind of a universal issue, right? So historically, men have had their self-worth like tied up in their careers,
Yeah, careers, and
right?
how
How
you
much
can
money they can
provide.
make, how well you can take care of a family. So that's kind of a part of it. I feel like women, in the same way with, standard gender roles, their self-worth can be tied up in
Beauty.
yes, definitely beauty standard, like what you can provide physically, let's say those sorts of things.
So you said a confidence epidemic.
Confidence epidemic.
What is that?
The world is in a very interesting place right now.
Okay.
I think the ways that people used to value themselves historically have, shifted. I think that there are so many people who lack confidence and have, full-on identity crises. Like, I feel like that's more, you just see it more and more. So that's what I mean as far as like an epidemic. People who are looking at things out in the world and the way that things could be or should be, and it's not that way for them, or that's how they feel anyway.
Okay. So I really quickly want to identify what confidence is. So confidence is a noun, the feeling or belief that one can rely on someone or something. Firm trust. We had every confidence inside of our staff. He had gained the young man's confidence, the state of feeling certain about the truth of something, a feeling of assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. So confidence can come from two different sources, from what these definitions are saying. The first source is external, and I feel like people, they really seek external, confidence, external assurance.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
If I trust you, then I have confidence in you, right? Like, I trust you to drive me around, right? I have confidence that if I get in the car with you, I will be safe and everything's gonna be fine. And so when you talk about like self-confidence, it's like there's a lack of trust in yourself. And then I feel like, it says something else about truth, and I feel like because the truth in society is shifting so dramatically, there's a lot of lies and BS.
Absolutely. And misinformation,
Right.
and then subjective experience that get externalized and then projected onto people and everybody's experience. And it's kind of exhausting. I actually just got through taking social media off my phone. It's kind of one of those things, like, it's so doom and gloom. It really
Yes,
is.
which of course, basically one of the side effects of that is, I feel like, a taking away someone's confidence. Being surrounded by this and being surrounded by the storm, if you will, and having that perspective, like, it takes away from self as well.
I
And how
believe,
you
yeah.
view yourself in the world.
So there's a couple ways that you can build confidence. Confidence is built like trust. When you show up, you have to start small. A lot of people, they try to climb Mount Everest before they even get out to the park and, walk a mile. Because how are you going to climb Mount Everest if you can't even walk a mile, right? So the other thing is take action before you feel ready. You never really know what you're capable of doing until you actually start, like this podcast. And one of my main goals is to add as much value as possible, right? And then, so another one is change your inner dialogue. It's really interesting because psychiatrists and psychologists, They study like people. Some people have internal dialogues, and then other people don't. I always equated an internal dialogue to something that everyone had. And I also thought it was more or less like a superpower. One of the things people say is your internal theater. So, in order to build trust, one of those things is like, what is replaying in your internal theater? And are you playing negative memories, negative emotions? Do you already have a preconceived notion of how somebody is going to treat you based off of your internal dialogue or your internal theater? Because if it's nothing positive that happens inside of that space, that is the most intimate space that anybody can have. I learned that not everybody has it, but just for me, in my subjective experience, I'm going to just assume that everybody has it, right? So if I sit here and I'm like, Maiya, the way that you hurt me, obviously issues will arise.
Yes.
Have issues arise
Yeah.
as a result of me playing inside of my internal theater, my innermost dialogue. A lot of people equate that to intrusive thoughts. So when you let an intrusive thought take hold, you sow the seed, you come out, and you're surprised that it manifested into something that's taken root, then lo and behold, like you're donezy, right?